Siona God, hello all. Oshta, afternoon, good afternoon, and Water. Thank you for watching. So this is day 3, part B of reading Hollywood Babylon by Kenneth Angers. Okay. I'm gonna reread the last sentence. So it says, "It was he who offered to fix up Wally Reed's hangover during the filming of Forever, who first put Mabel Normand, Juanita Hanson, Barbara Lamar, L.A. space M-A-R-R, and Alma Rubens, R-U-B-E-N-S, on the junk." End quotes. "The girl who is too beautiful," end quote. Barbara Lamar was, oh, hey, that's her. This is Barbara Lamar. Was Hollywood's most glamorous, if jaded, junkie. Man. She dabbled in every known variety of dope until her fatal OD at 26. In 1926, Barbara kept her... Hold on. Is that the age that they talk about with people dying in Hollywood and stuff? Like, in the entertainment industry in general? Is it 26? And how far does that go back, right? Because this lady was 26 in 1926. So she died at age 26 in 1926. Barbara kept her cocaine in a golden casket on the grand piano, okay? Her opium was the finest grade Benares blend, B-E-N-A-R-E-S blend. Barbara, the Southern Belle, brought into films by Douglas Fairbanks and the Three Musketeers, seemed to know she was not long for this life. Determined to make the most of it, she boasted of never wasting any more than 2 hours on sleep a night. My gosh, she had, in quotes, better things to do. She did indeed have lovers by the dozens, quote unquote, like roses, she said, as well as 6 husbands during her brief career as a star. The film titles of quote unquote Too Beautiful, Barbara read like a litany: Souls for Sale, Strangers of the Night, The White Moth. Her last incarnation, as a femme fatale, was in the heart of a siren. Her own heart was stopped soon after by a suicidal OD. The studio blamed her death on, in quotes, too rigorous dieting. Okay. After Barbara Lamar, the sensitive, dramatic actress Alma Rubens lost her, in quote, secure foothold on the ladder of fame, end quote, to plunge into the nightland of narcotics. The raven-haired star of The Half-Breed, the firefly of Tough Luck, The Price She Paid, and Showboat became a real-life heroine. It's a play on the words, anyway. With most of her energies and a great part of her fortune devoted to securing drugs. Oh man. Alma's addiction did not become public knowledge until a bizarre incident occurred the afternoon of January 26, 1929. On Hollywood Boulevard, she was to be seen running down the street pursued by 2 men. And, in quotes, I'm being kidnapped, she screamed, tearing off her hat and gloves as she sprinted and throwing them into the gutter with her purse. She ran up to a gas station and sought refuge among the pumps. The 2 men caught up with her. Alma then struck savagely with a knife she had concealed in her dress, stabbing the younger of the 2 men in the shoulder. The gas station attendant managed to grab the knife while the older man locked her arms behind her. Alma, sobbing, was led off to the ambulance parked in front of her house on Wilton Place. When the story appeared in the papers, it became known that Alma Rubens had stabbed the ambulance attendant, and the other man was her physician. So they were just literally trying to help her. Dr. E.W. Meyer. Alma had panicked when they arrived at her house to put her in a private sanitarium. After a few weeks of treatment in that Alhambra, A-L-H-A-M-B-R-A clinic, she was allowed to return home with a nurse to look after her. In April 1929, she lashed out at the nurse with a knife and was subdued after a tussle. Alma was taken to the psycho ward, W-A-R-D, of L.A. General Hospital, then transferred to the California State Hospital for the Insane at Patton for P-A-T-T-O-N for a 6-month quote-unquote cure. When she left the hospital, Alma declared, in quotes, I am feeling wonderful again after my rest. I'm going to New York and try to pick up my career again. First on stage, then I hope to return to Hollywood, end quote. Alma's hopes for a Broadway comeback did not work out. And while in New York, she filed divorce proceedings against her third husband, leading man Ricardo Cortez. Alma kept her word and did return to Hollywood in 1931, but soon after her arrival felt a prompting to visit Agua Caliente across the Mexican border, driving down the company of Ruth Palmer, a young actress she had brought from New York. On her return trip to Hollywood, they stopped off at the U.S. Grant Hotel in San Diego, where Alma was arrested on January 6, 1931, charged with possession of 40 cubes of morphine. The tip-off had come from Ruth Palmer, alarmed at Alma's outbursts of violence. The police found the drug cubes sewn into the seams, of one of Alma's dresses. When they searched the hotel room, when the cops entered, Alma screamed, end quotes, "I've been robbed of $9,000 in jewels, and this is a frame-up. I came back to California to make a comeback. Then this happened to me," end quote. You know, with the way that they do things, you never know what's real and what's not. As far as, like, stuff that they do, like, to try and cover up for, like, those, like, big labels and everything. But anyway, here's Alma Rubens. It's her picture. It says, "Sincerely, Alba Rubens." Alma. I don't know why you keep calling her Alba. Alma Rubens. And here's Barbara Lamar. And it says Alma Rubens shortly before her death. I wonder, like, if these people, like, ever threatened to show, like, the real side of Hollywood and stuff. And then they're like, okay, well then, now you're crazy. Now you're addicted. Now you're whatever. Anyway, the twofold purpose of the Juanita Hansen Foundation. It says, Juanita Hansen, modern crusader, my creed. All great beauty in books and music and paint or marble or clay. All great service of whatever kind have been inspired by men and women with definite goals. I too have a definite goal, to help the thousands of narcotic addicts now living in darkness, alone, ashamed, bewildered, and to do all I can to enlist the help of as many others as I can in a crusade against the spread of this most dreadful of spiritual and physical diseases, narcotic addiction. Juanita Hansen. So here's that right there. And then, let's see. After being charged, Alma was diagnosed as seriously ill. She was allowed to return home with her mother under constant medical care. Realizing she was dying, Alma called the Los Angeles Examiner for a last interview. End quotes, "I have been miserable for so long. I only went to professional men to seek relief from my pain. Each time they said, 'Take this for the pain and you will be able to go on.' When they first started giving me this horrible poison, I did not know what it was. I went from one to the other. One even laughed when I told him I craved the drug and said, 'Don't be afraid, you will not need any more after you are well.' But they went on and on giving me this thing. As long as my money held out, oh yeah, I could get drugs. I was afraid to tell my mother, my best friends. My only desire has been to get drugs and take them in secrecy. If only I could go on my knees before the police or before a judge and beg them to make stiffer laws so that men will refuse to take dirty dollars from murderers who sell this poison and who escape punishment when caught by buying their way out," end quote. On January 22nd, 1931, Alma died, age 33. Another heroine was the delicate blonde Juanita Hansen, end quote, the original Mac Sennett girl, end quote, who was introduced to drugs on the Keystone lot. Man, end quotes. The Count had approached Juanita early Monday morning, when she was suffering the effects of a boozed-up weekend. He used his usual opener, end quotes, "Hangover, honey? I'll fix it for you. The first taste was free. the die was cast. Soon, Juanita was buying $75 an ounce. She was buying at 70. Okay, I read that right. Years later, she recalled meeting her connection in downtown LA at 4th and Spring Street. End quotes, a peddler, the same man who had met me that fateful day at the same spot and had sold me my first bundle of heroin. I had been his best customer since. Jeepers. The man was really a fairly well-known actor, though not a star. I took a dose right there. Doctors, the hospital, and the dangers I was running from meant nothing to me. All I craved was heroin. I bought a good supply, end quote. And so, end quotes, the Count, or quote unquote, the Count, led another star down smack alley. Good Lord. Anyways, this is Barbara Lamar in casket. My Lord, biscuits, man. This one says, too beautiful, and this is Barbara Lamar. It says, with God in the joy and beauty of youth, 1896 to 1926. While Barbara Lamar and Alma Rubens somehow escaped the doomed book blacklist following the death of Wally Reed, Juanita Hansen was not so fortunate. Her name was found in a letter of an Oakland doctor with whom she had sought treatment, and soon after Reed's death, she was arrested and held in jail for 72 hours to determine if she was on the stuff. At that time, she was not, but the headlines finished her career. Juanita, the daredevil serial queen and star of The Lost City, hit the oblivion trail. Her comeback was not in the movies, but as a founder of the Juanita Hansen Foundation, whose avowed aim was to urge doctors to wage war against addiction, end quotes, as they now crusade against syphilis. Good God, end quote. The New Gods. Despite the morals clause added to their contracts, the admonitions from Hayes and the men in the front offices, and the glaring examples of fallen stars, the revel in the charm circle, went on unabated through the roaring 20s. The New Gods were determined to live their own legends to the hilt, and to hell with Hayes and the Mrs. Grundys of America. The excesses of the stars developed a cynicism and defiance characteristic of jazz-age youth. Bitterness and darkness often lay just beyond, but their attitude seemed to be, quote-unquote, so what? Edna St. Vincent Millay, M-I-L-L-A-Y, provided a succinct guide for the golden people. My candle burns at both ends. It will not last the night. But ah, my foes, and oh, my friends, it gives a lovely light. That's terrible. End quotes, oh, the parties we used to have, end quote. Lost Swanson, S-W-A-N-S-O-N, Swanson, later recalled. Is that Swanson of like the Swanson Foods or whatever? Anyway, end quote. In those days, the public wanted us to live like kings and queens, so we did, and why not? We were in love with life. We were making more money than we ever dreamed existed, and there was no reason to believe it would ever stop. This is Gloria Swanson. This is Like a Queen. I wonder, like, whenever I just saw her picture, I thought, honey, darling, right? Anyway, how people used to talk back then, potentially. While their foes fulminated the Hollywood in crowd whooped it up in an atmosphere of staggering luxury. Spanish, Moorish, M-O-O-R-I-S-H, dream castles like Valentino's Hilltop Falcon Lair, with its black marble, black leather bedroom, Marion Davies' 100-room ocean house, good gosh, at Santa Monica, with its all-gold salon, 2 bars, private movie theater, old masters, and huge marble bridge-spanned swimming pool, Pola Negri's, N-E-G-R-I, Roman plunge in her living room, and Barbara Lamar's enormous sunken bath with its gold fixtures in her all-onyx bathroom. Harold Lloyd's Green Acres, a 40-room fortress with fountains to rival Tivoli, T-I-V-O-L-I. Gloria Swanson's golden bathtub in her black marble bathroom. Tom Mix's rainbow-colored fountain in his dining room. John Gilbert Schooner, 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 probably. The Temptress, his motorboat. The Vampire, his sailboat. The Harpy, his dinghy. The Witch and his Cossack, Cossack servants, and Private Balaika, Balalaika Orchestra. Clara Bowes, BOWS, Chinese Den, and Charles Ray's solid gold doorknobs. Okay, this says Harold Lloyd's Chinese Den. And I reckon that's him right there, but I'm not really sure. And then, I don't think, let me see if it says who this is. I don't know who that is right there. Doesn't say. And then it says May Murray's Royal Wedding. That bag right there. Probably made out of velvet or something. It says Los Swanson's shoes, jewels, gowns, expensive tastes. I mean, that looks, I don't know what that looks like, but anyway. Oh, here's the other side. Man, that dress looks uncomfortable. It looks like it's heavy. Anyways, if Wally Reed's Robin's Egg Blue McFarlane was no longer seen cruising down Sunset, there was enough gaudy horsepower to take its place. Clara Bow in her Reed Kissel, Kissel, convertible with chow dogs to match. Valentino's custom-built Voisin, Voisin, Tourer, with its coiled Cobra radiator cap. May Murray's canary yellow Pierce Arrow, or more formal white Rolls Royce with liveried, I don't know, Liveried chauffeur, and ever-present Borzoi, Bourgeois. Anyway, Olga Petrova's purple Packard touring sedan, Gloria Swanson's leopard upholstered Lancia, Lancia. You know, I wonder if they own those or if they like leased them, because I know that like people, I saw a thing where like they have all the jewelry and the car and everything, and it's not theirs. They literally lease it, and they lease it like super cheap because the people are putting their like name out there for like whoever they are being dressed by, or what vehicle they're driving. Oh yeah, I got this over at whatever. So it's like a huge, like they're promoting them, you know what I mean? Like on a completely different level. It was a time when Joseph Urban boudoirs were soaked in Shalimar, Shalimar, when $3,000 Parisian beaded gowns lasted the life of one party. My God. When sex came served in Arabian Nights splendor, when money came in by the bushel and went out by the fistful, when liquor was clandestine but plentiful, and any star could buy the key to an artificial paradise. The stars worked hard all week. Bedtime was usually at 10 to be ready for early morning calls. Weekends were wild, however, as if dressing up under the Klieg lights, Klieg, all week long wasn't enough. A favorite divertisement was the costume party. Characteristic was Marion Davies' 1926 costume ball, held in the Ambassador Ballroom, which had been transformed into a lavish Hawaiian scene for the occasion. Mary Pickford came as Lillian Gish in La Boheme. Douglas Fairbanks was Don Q, son of Zorro. Charlie Chaplin was Napoleon. Jack Gilbert came as Red Grange in football togs and red wig. Lillian Gish was one of Jane Austen's heroines. B.B. Daniels came as a silver lame or lame. Joan of Arc. Madame Eleanor Glenn was Catherine of Russia. Marshall Nealon and Alan Dwan came disguised as the bearded Smith brothers of cough drop fame. And we'll leave it at that. Done to go hang, you, till we meet again. Love you, mean it.